KVNA FM, where music matters. It's Doug Branson. Hey, we have the Flagstaff Home and Garden Show coming up here, starting this morning and going all the way through Sunday. And I am very excited about our guest here in the studio because my wife and I will binge watch some Antique Roadshow on PBS. And Daniel Buck Souls was on there for 11 years, it was?
11 years, yes.
Wow. And now you're doing your own, you have your own website, by the way, too, DanielBuckSouls.com.
DanielBuckAuctions.com.
Auctions. Gotcha. Sorry about that. Yep.
No problem.
DanielBuckAuctions.com. And you're going to be at the... so tell us what you're going to be doing at the home show here.
Well, basically what we do is we come into the home show and we set up in order to be able to have people bring items in, very much like the Antiques Roadshow. Mm-hmm. And they can bring their items in and we give them an idea of value on their items and be able to tell them maybe a little bit more history on them. The one thing I like everybody to know is we're not there to buy. Yep. We're strictly there to give an idea of value and to help people, educate people as to what they have.
You've been doing this a long time. Your parents, you're second, third, fourth generation possibly.
I started, and I hate even to admit this, but I started auctioneering in 1975.
Wow.
So I've been doing it for some time.
Very cool. Very cool. So this is your life's passion, right? I mean, this is it.
It is. It's it's great when you pick up a piece that's 200 years old and you think that there was a time when it was only a couple of days old and it was brand new in somebody's house, and how much they must have loved it 200 years ago. I'm kind of a hopeless romantic that way.
Well, it is, and there's something, about the way things used to be made. Let's face it, they lasted a lot longer.
Absolutely. Most of what you find today, God forgive me, but most of what you find today is not going to last very long.
No.
But the old stuff 200 years ago, you still find some great furniture. We've got a piece in this upcoming auction that was actually built in the 1670s.
Wow.
And it's a Pilgrim period Bible box. Just here we are 350 years later, and there it is.
Just think of the history on that. That's just amazing.
Don't you wish you could talk?
I know. It's crazy. And that's what we loved about the show and what you do, too, people bringing in stuff. Because there's still a lot of stuff. I mean, it's been, kind of a big thing with, American Pickers and all these different shows that you see. But there's still some stuff out there that I bet surprises you once in a while.
Yeah, actually, not long ago, I was doing one of these down in Tucson, and I had somebody walk in with a pair of Levi's blue jeans, and they laid them out in front of me, and I looked at them, and I went, they're Levi's, they're brand new. And they went, no, take a closer look. And I took a closer look, and I was like, because once I flipped them over, I could see that they were from the 19th century. They actually dated from around 1897.
What?
They were worth almost $100,000.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that's, people have things in their home that they don't always know what the value is. And that's why I like doing what we do.
Yeah, fantastic. So I got to ask you, the internet, how has that changed the business over the years?
Actually, the internet has changed it a lot in a couple of ways. One, it's given us a much broader market to sell to. I know our upcoming auction, we already have people from about 15 different countries who are bidding online at our auction. But on the opposite end of that, because of the marketing and so many items now online, between eBay and Amazon, et cetera, what you're finding is it's a very soft market. It's supply and demand. The demand has gone down. The supply has gone way up. So the prices have fallen on a lot of things.
Yeah. And do you get a lot of people that come in and say, well, I saw this on the internet, and this is what the price said there. But that's not, you can't always trust what you see on the internet.
I always tell people, listen, you have to realize what you see on the internet is people fishing.
Yeah.
They're going to throw out a big price hoping that maybe somebody will come along and want to buy it for that. But then I sit down with them and I do the research. I show them our auction databases. I show them other databases where they can actually look at the items and see what they've actually sold for at auction so they get a better idea of value. Most people, believe me, there still are some people out there that think, no, if they're asking $1,000, I can too.
Yeah. And it fluctuates quite a bit, I'm guessing, the market. Is it year to year, month to month? I mean...
No, actually, it's just way down from where it used to be 10 years ago.
Okay.
People just don't have the discretionary funds that they used to go out and collect. Plus, we're an aging society, so we have a lot more items that are coming on the market. And with the internet now, being able to go out and find anything you want without ever leaving your home, the supply is way up, the demand is down, prices actually are down. Unless something is rare, unique, and unusual. Those items are still bringing a premium.
Very cool. Very good. Well, Daniel Buck Souls is with us. He's going to be at the Flagstaff Home and Garden Show at the NAU Auditorium for the next 3 days. And starting here at 10 a.m., it starts up here this morning. And we're going to take a quick break and come back. And Daniel's going to actually appraise and look at a few things we brought in. We'll be right back. KVNA FM, where music matters. It's Doug Branson with our very special guest, Daniel Buck Souls. Is there a good story behind your nickname? Should I ask?
What's my nickname?
Buck. Or is that actually your middle name?
That's actually my middle name.
Cool.
Yeah. You know what happened is years ago when I started doing auctions, I wanted the auction company to have my name, Daniel Souls Auctions.
Yeah?
But the problem is I was called Saules, Sules, and I said, who can mess up Buck? I'll use my middle name. So so most people out there don't even know my last name. They only know me as Daniel Buck.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, all right. Well, again, you may know him from Antiques Roadshow. He also has his own website, DanielBuckAuctions.com. There you go. Yep. And he's been doing this for a long time, appraising people's stuff. And what is your expertise? Is there an area that you feel the most comfortable in?
I do a lot with fine art.
Okay.
And silver as much as anything.
Okay.
But because of 45 years of history of doing this and having so many items come through the door, I really am what they call a generalist.
Okay.
I can do a little bit of everything.
Gotcha. Yep. And he's going to be out at the Flagstaff Home and Garden Show for the next 3 days. If you've got that item that's been sitting on the shelf in the attic and you want to have that appraised, come on out. And he's been gracious enough to let some of us bring in some of our items here today.
Right.
And I know Jules has got lots of stuff. She has a big stamp collection there. What are stamps doing right now?
Stamps aren't doing much of anything, I've got to be honest.
Okay.
You're in a situation where my generation and the earlier generations, because of not being able to reach out to the world like we can today with the internet, what you're finding is a lot of people that collected stamps back then expected them to go up in value. But now, because of the internet, et cetera, you're seeing an absolute plummet because people just aren't collecting them anymore in value. Typically, I have a hard time even selling stamps.
Okay.
Now, again, I go back to my comment before about the rare, unique, and unusual. If you get that rare, unique, and unusual stamp like the upside-down Jenny, the flying airplane that's upside down, you get a rare stamp like that, it will still bring a premium. But collections, typically the 20th century stamps, if they're just typical envelope stamps, then what you're finding is that they're face value. Okay. I know people that take the old stamps, the old Christmas stamps, and use them on the envelopes. They put 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it takes, and send out their Christmas cards that way.
Oh, for crying out loud.
And still use them.
I didn't know that. Well, that's very interesting. So she's also got a lot of mini vases from, dating back many years, some a little bit more new. They
look like they're 30s, 40s, 50s, predominantly in that area. There's a little bit of everything there. There's some American, there's some English. What you're looking at with those are more collectibles. Typically, when you see these in, let's say, an antique shop, they're going to range anywhere from $2 to $10 each. So you're looking at, some of the more elaborate vases over there, like the little Toby vase, it looks like a pumpkin. Those are a little more unusual. The plain white vases, typically those are 50 cents to $1.
Okay, gotcha. And baseball cards. I have a bunch of baseball and hockey cards myself. Is there much value in those anymore?
There is, especially if they are rare, unique, and unusual. Okay. What I usually say to people is any cards that were made pre-1965, 70 era and back, unless they're a really good rookie card, typically they're 25 cents each, plus or minus. Some of them are a little bit more, $1, $2. But for the most part, not as much value as when you get the earlier ones. You get that 50s, 40s, 30s, and even some of the real early ones can bring a ton of money.
Condition's a big thing too, right?
Condition is everything.
Okay.
On top of that, not only that is what you have to look at is how they're cut. Because believe it or not, if they're not cut square and you see that the picture is off center, that can actually hurt the value.
I can see some from here. Some are centered, some are cut a little bit off.
Correct.
That makes a big difference too, doesn't it? Okay.
And if you have a really good baseball card, we typically send them out to have them graded because that will add to the value as well.
Okay, gotcha. Now on to my wife had a vase from Germany. Rosenthal, I believe.
Rosenthal.
Yeah.
Yep, it's actually Rosenthal vase.
And it was a hand-painted, plated, there's some gold on there. I'm not sure. Do you know much about that?
Yeah, no, actually it dates, some of those date from the 20s, 30s, 40s, which is the era I think yours is probably from. It's actually one of the more unusual Rosenthal vases I've ever seen because it has a face decorated on it with all the gold gilding. And it's kind of like a little wastebasket is what it would have been used for. Either that or a very large vase, one or the other.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful piece. I would say that if I had that in one of my auctions, well, wait a minute. Before I do this, is your wife listening? we may want.
She may drive up the road one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, really. No, what I would do is I would probably put a pre-sale estimate of about $400 to $600 on that one.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a beautiful piece. It's one of those that I would be willing to bet if the right two people got on that and had to have it, it might even go a little higher.
Okay, very nice.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a unique piece. She had brought over, her grandmother gave it to her from Germany.
Nice.
Do you see a lot of that? People, getting stuff from Europe? I mean, it's really hard to do, though, isn't it? Transferring stuff, doesn't it?
Well, to be honest with you, it's not as bad as you think because of the fact, starting even back during the World Wars.
Oh, yeah.
People would bring items back.
Sure.
Whether they were in Japan, they were in China, they were in Germany, they were France, England, wherever. And so there was a lot of things that came back. And in this country, some of the best New England pieces I've ever seen, I actually have seen out here because people moved out here and they brought their better stuff with them. So you do see a lot of that. One of the best stories I have about that is I had a gentleman who had a Japanese knife and he brought it into our auction, had no idea what he had. But his uncle brought it back from World War II when he was in Japan.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful little Japanese tanto, but the handle and the sheath had been replaced. It was modern wood, but the knife itself, actually, the tanto itself was actually made in the 14th century.
Wow.
And it brought $65,000.
Oh, ow.
So
that's awesome.
You don't know. There are some good things that have been brought back.
Well, again, Daniel Souls is going to be out at the Flagstaff Home and Garden Show all weekend long, 3 days. And if you have something really cool,
I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. I'm not going to be there today.
Okay, Saturday and Sunday. Gotcha.
Right,
Saturday
Saturday and Sunday. Correct.
So you've got today to find the stuff you want to bring over.
There you go.
So bring it on over. And your website one more time?
Daniel Buck, BUCK, auctions.com.
Fantastic. Pleasure, sir. Thank you so much. Stop out and see him at the Flagstaff Home and Garden Show.
Thanks for having me. Great day.